What's up, everybody? Corey Raymond, your host here of the Wisconsin Investor Podcast, and I got my man Jimmy Vreeland here. Jimmy, what podcast are you running again?
The Real Estate Fast Pass Podcast.
The Real Estate Fast Pass Podcast. So I'm bringing you some heat today, guys, for my audience. And Jimmy, I know you're going to be bringing this to your audience as well. And Jimmy and I are both members of a group called the Collective Genius, and we've known each other now for, 5-6 years probably. Been in this group and seen a lot of things over the years. So we're going to get into some of that today. Before we do, I always give a little commercial for our business, Wisconsin Discount Properties. So if you are looking to invest in properties in Wisconsin, get on our buyers list. To do that, you just go to wisconsindiscountproperties.com. You plug your info in, and we start sending you deals in your inbox every single Monday morning. We'll shoot you a little text as well in case you're not a big emailer. You can check it out in the text. And I've been pounding this on the last couple, but I'm really excited about some data that we just put together. One of the criticisms wholesalers get all the time is your ARVs are inflated. You guys are inflating the ARVs to try to sell deals. Well, we put some data together to find out, like, how good are we at ARVs? Are we inflating them? Are we accurate? We did 50 flips that you guys bought from us in a 6-month span. And we looked at what did they actually sell for at the end of the day, and what did we say they were going to sell for. And we were $5,000 short on our ARVs. So our investors made $5,000 more on average than what we said they were going to make on these deals. And we even included the ones that were just clean and lists. So these were people who didn't even bring them to the ARVs. So you can have confidence when you're looking at those ARVs that we're going to be pretty damn close on those ARVs.
You're underselling yourself, Corey. You need to add $10K to all your dispo prices.
There we go. That's what we're doing from now on, baby. That being said, Jimmy, let's get into it today, brother. Tell our audience a little bit about who's Jimmy Vreeland and why in the heck are we talking today, brother?
My name's Jimmy Vreeland. I'm a real estate investor, small business owner from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm a happily married father of 4 and former Army Ranger.
Love it. Boom. That's it. That's what I love about you, Jimmy. You're just no nonsense. Bring it, buddy. So Jimmy and I were talking at the last Collective Genius that we were at dinner. I'm a big BRRRR lover. Jimmy loves the BRRRR. And we were just kind of nerding out at dinner one night about BRRRR. And Jimmy's got a pretty cool program called BRRRR Key, which I think is pretty cool. You've been in this business a while, and Jimmy, and you've had a bunch of different iterations of what you guys have done there in your market. And so I thought, man, this is perfect to bring you on and get your perspective on all things real estate related, but in particular, cash flow. How do you look at cash flow for your investors? Tell everybody a little bit about what you guys are doing with your BRRRR Key program there in KC.
So I'm gonna back up a second, Corey. Yep. And so it comes down to a little bit of a problem with, I think, the real estate education industry. And there's not enough distinction and differentiation. Like when you say real estate is a big thing, right?
Right, big umbrella.
And so there's no differentiation between someone who has a cash machine and someone who doesn't have a cash machine. And I think it's hurting people. And let me kind of understand. And the way I define a cash machine is you make $250K a year. So if you make $250K a year in sales, you have a cash machine. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a cash machine yet. Mm-hmm. And so if you have a cash machine, to direct your attention away from that cash machine, I think is very perilous. Mm. And so does everybody in America need to be in real estate? They do. You, at a minimum, need to get 20 government 30-year fixed mortgages. It needs to be part of everyone's portfolio. But to get to that and take your eye off the ball, I don't think is smart. And so you need someone to help you do it passively. Now, if you don't have $250K a year, cool. You need a wholesale and flip if you want to be in real estate. Because I see people without cash machines start taking on long-term debt and start buying rentals when they shouldn't, and then they're in a precarious liquidity position. Then I see people who should just be buying rentals, taking their eye off the ball, and flipping and wholesaling. I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't make any economic sense.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Jimmy, is let's say I'm in sales, I'm making $300K a year, killing it in my job. My job in the real estate space, I should just be buying and being as hands off as possible, getting the rental business going.
Yeah, because so that 200 guy making $250K, why does he even want real estate? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think that answer is?
Passive income. He wants to get out eventually, be able to surpass that 250K to be able to not have to work his butt off.
Well,
to be able to make that 250.
I'm going to take this podcast in a bad tangent, but I have bad news for that guy. I have bad news make it for that guy making 250 to 300K. Do you want to know what the bad news is?
What's that?
There is no way $200 to $300 a door and what we used to call cash flow will ever replace your income. Unfortunately, you're too successful and too productive. But now, over the course of 10 years, those houses will build you a ton of wealth. But they are, in the traditional cash flow model, they are not going to replace your income. Because I was in that situation. I was making 250K in corporate sales. And I remember buying a few rentals and sitting down and seeing, I'm making 300. 300, what is the quick math? If you make 250K a year, you need to make 20 grand a month. Okay. And then $200 a door for 20 grand. What is that? 100 houses?
100 doors. You need 100 doors. Yep. That was my original goal when I got into real estate, Jimmy, right there. That was it.
Yeah. And then we're just going to put our head down and we're going to do it no matter what. Right, Corey?
Yep.
And then let me tell you a story about my past. Like, I was so sick of corporate money, and this is how stupid I was. But I started a deli. So I was in medical sales, and I was always have to doing office lunches, right? And I had corporate credit card, and I was always swiping that card. And I'm like, wait a minute, why am I paying somebody else to make these lunches? Why don't I just make the lunches myself?
I did not know this about you, Jimmy. I did not know you had a deli, dude. This is awesome.
And so I did it with a high school friend who had a checkered past and was like currently in recovery. And this dude could cook, bro. His food was excellent.
Yeah.
But couldn't run a business, nor could I. And, he ended up stealing from the company account to get his fix, right?
Oh, no.
But I was in such a demented mental space that making $1 from the crappy deli felt better than making the 250K I made from corporate.
Wow, dude.
But dude, that was a me problem. That wasn't a corporate problem.
Yeah.
That was me being ungrateful for what that job provided me.
Right. So was that before you started dipping into real estate? Was that like your first venture into anything outside of, a W-2?
I read Kiyosaki when I was in the Army, got out of the Army, and then around 2016, when I started making good money, around 13, I started making really good money and I started getting stupid. And then, Kiyosaki convinced me I was in the rat race of I had a new quota every year and then I had to chase my bonus, right? Yeah. Well, my dumb ass, can I curse on this podcast? Sorry. Is this family friendly?
You know what? Family friendly, but ass is, I think
that's as bad as it'll get. That's as bad as it'll go. So,
okay.
This is how stupid I was. I created a second rat race where I would take all my bonuses, reinvested in some cash flow scheme, oil wells, delis, eBay, and real estate. And then I would lose all the bonus money and then have to hustle harder to do it again until I sat
to catch back up.
Yes, until I just sat and focused and exclusively started buying real estate.
Interesting. Did you start with, so taking your advice now that you have today, looking backwards, hindsight, Jimmy, when you started in the real estate space and got focused, was that on buy and hold? Because again, we talked about that's a big umbrella of real estate. How did you enter into the space while trying to focus on that, on the cash machine?
Okay. So I started buying BRRRRs, right?
Okay.
And so then I took my sales ability and talking to rich doctors, and I just changed it to, I was able to borrow $5 million in private money, right? And I was able to I got up to 140 BRRRRs.
Wow.
I mean, I was highly in debt, no systems, no processes, cash poor. And then I hit my 100th rental, and I was like, hey, now I can finally tell my boss to take this job and shove it, right?
Yeah.
Because according to the math, 100 rentals, I should be financially free.
Yes.
And so then I joined CG, and I met Jason Medley.
Yeah.
And Jason was like, what do you do, bro? And I'm like, I'm retired. I got 100 rentals. And he's like, no, what do you do? He's like, look, stupid, you are cash poor and house rich. And now you're $5 million in debt. When you were corporate, you had no debt.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you better find some active income fast.
Yeah.
And so then I started turnkeying houses to people.
Okay.
but he had to give me the distinction between passive income and wealth building and active income. He didn't phrase it as cash machine. I learned that like 7 years later.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's another thing. When I had a cash machine from corporate, the bankers were out in droves to lend me money.
Oh, for sure, dude.
As soon as I gave up my cash machine, guess how much lending I got?
Zero.
Yeah. But I didn't understand the cash machine paradigm.
Yeah. I see that happen a lot, Jimmy. I'm glad you brought this point up. Like we'll get people who do, they bang off 4 or 5 flips in a year. They make a good, nice chunk on each of them. They're 6 figures now, right?
Yeah.
And they're starting to add a couple rentals to the portfolio along the way, building that wealth, which is great. I think that's a great idea. And then they go quit that W-2, and all of a sudden now they're like trying to get lending for that next flip or rental, and they're scrounging, man. They are in a tough spot. So I think it's a great point, man. Like what you just brought up there about your experience and giving up the cash machine.
Yeah. And so just if you're going to give out that cash machine, make sure you're highly liquid, highly committed. And if your thought is that once you're a small business owner, you're finally free, you're sorely mistaken, because now your bosses are your accountant, the IRS, and really you have to continue to become a better person to employ people. Because I was I was not nice when I was in corporate sales.
When you say you were not nice, you mean to people who you eventually hired, or just in general as a human being to customers, clients, and everybody else?
The world was all about me.
Okay.
Then, if I were to take a video of my interactions back then, I don't think I'd be proud.
Yeah.
I thought I was the bomb because I made $250K a year.
Yeah. Okay. So the ego was strong.
Yeah. Rude to my wife, rude to my coworkers. And then if they didn't buy from me, rude to my potential clients.
What was some of the big, talk about that self-development journey then? Like, was it just through experience? Did you get some coaching? Like what helped you continually, become the person you are now, that you can employ people and continually be humble enough to admit that you had an ego? And
so I learned like all these great lessons in the Army, right?
Okay.
But like after my 3rd deployment, I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want to lead anymore. Leading gets you shot at. I'm done with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had all these great leadership lessons and great experiences that, after my 3rd deployment, like spending a lot of time overseas, I was kind of tired, I think.
Okay.
And immature. Like people are like, hey, would you ever go back? I was like, dude, it would be awesome to go back with my brain now and my body then.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So I will tell you what, the recipe was, I started listening to a ton. I started getting punched in the face a lot with business and then listening to Jordan Peterson.
Okay. Who's Jordan? I don't know Jordan Peterson.
Oh my God.
So Jordan,
he's the man.
Okay.
12 Rules for Life.
Okay.
That's got to be your next book.
Okay. Love it. 12 Rules for Life.
Jordan Peterson's big thing is the hero's journey.
Okay.
Like life is all about aiming upward. And, the hero's journey is this. It's, if you look at every movie, it goes through this cycle. It's someone hears a call to adventure. They cross the threshold, like Bobo leaving the Shire. And then as soon as you cross the threshold, it's just a road of trials.
Yep.
Then once you hit the road of trials, there's going to be a moment, a climax, an abyss that you either quit and turn around and don't change, or you change, get better, and get through the abyss.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sure your experience is the same. Small business ownership is just a series of abysses.
Dude, I'll tell you what, when we made our first hire, there was so much of that, I call it imposter syndrome, right? But it's like, who am I to hire somebody? Like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing. How do I pay this person? How do I do taxes? How do I do all stuff? Like, I don't know how to lead somebody. What are they going to do every day? How do I coach them? Right. And if you're a small business owner and you're listening to this podcast and you have employees, you just had to kind of power through that crap and just do it. And you learn a lot in the process. Like you said, you're going to get punched in the face quite a few times. There's tons of mistakes that we in our business have made with employees and regrets. Like, I wish I didn't do certain things with certain people and those types of things. But all you can do is learn from it and not make that same mistake again going forward. And that's how you grow, I think, in the small business world that we live in, right?
Yeah, it's part. So Jordan Peterson convinced me that the only path to gross is through the abyss. So if it's unavoidable, you might as well have some fun with it. And so then I started mentally trying to run to them.
Okay. They always say, what is it? Buffaloes run away or run through the storm, and cows run with the storm. Be a buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
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 Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Be a buffalo. I think that's one of the leadership concepts out there right now that's hot is be a buffalo, not a cow, and run through the storm, not with it.
Yeah. And have a little gratitude that you do have this problem right now.
For sure. Yeah. I think that's a great point. The gratitude part, having conversations with some newer people, it's really fun for me to, like, when I get them on the podcast, it's fun to talk to newer people because it reminds me of that like excitement and energy of like when I was starting out and how it was. And I think you get a little bit jaded the longer you're in this business a little bit from some of the lumps that you had to take, and you forget how far we've come, right? Like Jimmy, you and I have been in now probably, it sounds about the same amount of time in this business. And I forget that first deal excitement and stuff. So talking to newer people, it like lights me back up. I'm like, oh yeah, this is really fun. I do need to be grateful for how far we are. Like, wow. I was talking to Carrie on our, we just got back from a big road trip, and on the trip, I was like, how freaking lucky are we right now that we get to drive around the country for a couple of weeks? We got a team in place that's running the show for us. I take a couple phone calls on the road, and the team handles everything else. I mean, this is incredible. Like, where else can you do this? But it's almost a decade now of building that and taking a bunch of lumps of trying it, and it doesn't work. It does work, then it doesn't work. And we're finally at a point now where I'm sure if I take my eye off the ball, it'll change again, and it won't be as easy, or as I say easy, but it won't be as self-managed as it is right now. Cause I've done that a few times where I've kind of given up and been like, you guys got this. And then I'm out in Florida at our house down there, or whatever. And meanwhile, things are crumbling behind the scenes, and I'm just not paying attention to it. So, but it is amazing. Like, there's a lot to be grateful for in general in this country, but then to be involved in this business and get it to a point like where it's matured to now, at least in our space, it's a really humbling thing to reflect back on and realize we got a lot to be grateful for.
And then that's kind of related back to the cash flow myth. Can I pop off about that for a second?
Yes. Let's talk cash flow myth, buddy. I love it.
So these people who want to step out of their jobs and not work anymore and get to the beach, like, I always try to remind them, we are in the greatest country on earth with the most opportunity, with the most technology, and the AI boom coming down the pipe. Like, it's the most exciting, most abundant time to be alive. And you want to sit this out? Like, are you sure about that? Or why not just buy some rentals so you protect yourself from inflation, build up your net worth, and then have a nest egg? Oh, and also learn the skill set of an investor, which is not easy.
Right.
But hey, if you want to sit it out, that's great.
More for me and Jimmy.
Exactly. So I try to completely dispel this whole myth of I want to quit my job.
Yeah. So you talked about, like, you and I have a very similar experience too with the rental piece. Like, I did it's so interesting because I did the exact same thing. I read Kiyosaki. I'm like, I'm getting 100 doors as quickly as humanly possible, that cash flow, $200 a door. And then I'm kicking it on the beach, drinking Coronas and just living the life. Right. Got 100 doors in 3 years. And I was like, same exact.
And what were you doing? What was your cash machine?
We were wholesaling at the same time. So wholesaling and flipping was the cash machine. But I was like, it was only solely, and I was still working a full-time job for the first 2 years. So I kept my full-time job. I was doing sales. I sold for a company called NCSA, Next College Student Athlete. And so I would have to do calls nights and weekends and holidays and stuff with high school athletes who wanted to play college sports. And I'd have to try to sell them some packages, that we had of this, online recruiting package. Great company. I loved what we did. Yeah. It was actually a really, really cool experience as a former high school athlete who wanted to play college sports myself. And didn't really get some great opportunities thanks to lack of recruiting help. I believed in the product, I thought we had a really good thing, but the nights and weekends thing for me was like, having kids. You got 4, I got 4. They were starting to get older and into stuff, and I couldn't be at certain things. And I'm like, this is no way to live, So my intensity level to get out of my job was at like a 10. I was like, I'm doing whatever it takes to get out of this job because of the time aspect of it. And Carrie had cancer back before we got married. I think she was like 24. She had appendix cancer, got diagnosed with it 3 or 4 months before we were supposed to get married. And she had to have a major surgery and all this stuff. So my perception of time shifted really early in my 20s of like, whoa, we could die like tomorrow and be gone. And so that was a lot of that motivation. Like, get me to 100 doors, get me $200 a door as quickly as possible, because who knows, I could die tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
And then I got there, I got the 100 doors, same exact thing, dude. I'd look at my bank account and I'm like, it says I'm supposed to be making 200, but oh yeah, that AC unit went out over there. That roof had to get replaced. We needed new windows over here. It just, and even to this day, it's like, I think we're at like 140, 150, somewhere in there. And it's still fluctuates. There's no consistency. We'll put it that way. Like
well,
just,
you know what is consistent?
the wealth building.
They all appreciate 5% a year.
Oh, did I lose you, Jimmy? Are you back?
No, you got me. They all appreciate.
Yep, go ahead.
They're all appreciating 5% a year. And I don't even want to talk about how much money I know you've saved in taxes.
Oh, dude. And we just got a nice little big, beautiful bill this year. 100% bonus depreciation's back. So,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a huge advantage for real estate professionals.
Yeah. Sure. Any real estate agent out there, if you're not buying houses, like, you're wrong.
Yeah. Jimmy, what is that? Tell everybody in the audience, just for those that aren't understanding, just simple terms, if you can. So a doctor is making $500,000 a year. Wife's a real estate professional. How does that affect their income versus not owning rentals? Can you explain that?
So the quick and I'm not a tax professional, but the quick and dirty of depreciation. This is another reason real estate's the greatest investment ever, because to the IRS, our houses are losing value. To the rest of the economy, our houses are appreciating 5% a year. And so before Trump, a regular depreciation schedule, the IRS said, hey, 35% of the house depreciates on a 7-year cycle. The rest depreciate on a 27.5-year cycle. And then so you would have to wait for your depreciation. 30% of it you could depreciate in 7 years. The rest you had to wait 27.5 years. Now, with the big, bold, beautiful tax bill, you could take that 7-year cycle and take it down to 0. So I'm going to use an automotive example. Like, as soon as that bill passed, I bought a new truck, right? $85,000 a year truck. Now, a truck generally depreciates on a 5-year schedule. So you would take 85 divided by 5, and then that was your tax savings each year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
With Trump's bonus depreciation, I take that 85 and condense it down to 1 year. So
yes,
I took an $85,000 tax loss, and then I'm in a 40% tax bracket. Can I do some math real quick?
Yep. Let's do some math. Let's show them the numbers. I think this is important. When I talk to people, I don't think they quite grasp like the actual impact of this a lot of times.
So I got an instant. I financed it all, as a good real estate investor will, and so I got an instant $34,000 tax savings.
That's incredible. So you are not paying. So just in layman's term, because sometimes people miss this up, it's not a $35,000 deduction, right? Like you're not paying $35,000, or it is a $35,000 deduction.
I got an $85,000 deduction, and then since I have a 40% tax bracket, I saved $34K in taxes.
It's amazing.
So it's just back. Now take that back to real estate. You take all the parts of the houses, 30% of your 60,000. Let's just do a $200,000 house example, right?
Yep.
So I think it's 30. It could be 35. I'm just a real estate guy, but so 60 grand of that house can be cost segged and can be condensed to a 1-year depreciation. So you could take $60,000 of that house and say that's a year 1 loss. And so what is that? Now 40%. there's going to be some sticklers listening to this podcast being like, his math's not correct. My math is accurate. It's not precise.
Close enough.
But you know what I mean? Like some of the high detail oriented people, like, I'm calculating a $24,000 tax savings, but they're like, oh no, it's actually 20.98. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Close enough. It's significant. So my point with the doctor example, I always love this example because that's active income. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is if you can consider yourself a real estate professional or you're married, this is where if you're married or have a business partner that you guys are business partners in, this is one of the best hacks out there to save yourself tons and tons of money in taxes. If you got a really high paying job or you're that sales guy Jimmy was talking about, have your spouse be the real estate professional. Now you can take, let's say you make 500 grand, you buy enough real estate in a year, you could potentially wipe out your entire income to the federal government and pay literally zero in taxes. Now we had Marcus Krigler on not too long ago, Jimmy, who
Yep.
you know well, and
He's
he
my
talked
guy.
about perfect, and he talked about some reasons why you may not want to take it down to zero, but you want to get it into those lower brackets, right? And there's some strategy around that, which is why Marcus is the CPA and not us. But point being, theoretically, you could wipe out your entire income and pay zero in federal income tax, which if you're in a 40% tax bracket, you're making 500 G's a year. That's a lot of money that you're saving. And now you can recycle that money, right, that you saved, and reinvest that money in and help it grow.
Like ethically, I'll pay 10%. So I'm not shooting for zero either. Like, it's the greatest country on earth. I'm fine with 10%.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm at whatever my CPA tells me I should be at. So if he says zero, I go zero. He says 10, I pay 10, whatever.
For you, for you other stickler types, it's like trying to get to net zero with carbon. It's impossible. It'll never happen. Yeah. So don't try to go to net zero with your taxes either. And remember, you live in the greatest country on earth, and they deserve they got to collect revenue somehow.
Right. That's why we got tariff.
Now, 40%, that's not acceptable though either.
Yeah. There's a threshold there for everybody, right? For sure.
Yeah.
So talk about what do you mean when you say BRRRR Key? Talk about that for a minute, Jimmy, for people who aren't familiar with that terminology. I think you might have coined this. I've never heard anybody use this terminology before, so I don't know if you have a trademark on that, but you should. I
should. So BRRRR means buy, rehab, rent, refinance. And all the gurus out there are teaching people with cash machines the privilege of having a low-paying job in real estate, finding and fixing those BRRRRs so you can be wealthy. Like, love bigger pockets, but they tell these rich people to take a low-paying job in real estate. It's silly. Yeah. And so then we had turnkey from back in the day, which was an already rehabbed house. And so I just combined the two. Yeah. BRRRRs and turnkey is like, wait a minute. You don't really want to pay full retail for a house like you do with a turnkey. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at my holding cost and everything and title cost for transactions. And like, I was like, net, people taking the houses down themselves just makes more sense. And it's a better investment for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically what you're doing, Jimmy, is you're finding the deal. They're buying that deal from you at a wholesale fee.
Yes.
And then you're taking care of the management and the remodel of that to get it to today's standards. Then they're able to refinance that property after it's done, hopefully pull all their capital back out, or at least a good chunk
not
of
all.
That.
Just like not having a zero tax rate, they'll pull most of it out. But like I had one guy like not be able to pull out $3,000 and he got all poopy pants. And I was like, come on, bro.
Dude. Yeah. I think that's changed quite a bit, Jimmy, over the last few years. Have you seen that where, the BRRRR nowadays is you're going to be in for less than 20% down and you got to be happy with that, not 100% plus getting a check at closing?
Yeah. I mean, it's real. You're doing this passively. Like you just got an asset that you're like into for 10% of the ARV value and you didn't do any work. Like you can't complain.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, I try to shy away from perfectionism and absolutes.
Yes. I've noticed that here recently in the last 3 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And by us, we don't have a provider necessarily doing the whole process like what you're doing. So those of you guys here in Wisconsin, and especially up here in Northeast Wisconsin, where we are, we partner with a lot of, and I say partner loosely. We have a relationship where we personally have properties that some of these management companies rent and fix up for us. I don't make anything by referring anybody over to them or anything like that.
There you go. Selling yourself short again.
Yeah, I know. I'm all about bringing value, Jimmy. It's all about for the kids. Do it for the kids.
Dollars follow value.
That's right. So, but what we do is we just recommend, hey, get with some of these property management companies. Let them do like what Jimmy's saying. If you want to be pretty hands off, let them do the remodel. Let them fix it up. And then you go ahead and do the refinance. I just actually this morning, and I closed on a refinance. We did that exact same process. I gave it to them. They did the rehab, remodel, everything else. They got it rented up to today's market rents. I talked to the bank, refinanced it. On this one, I got all my money back out. Thank the Lord. That was nice. But now that's an infinite return. I got like 40 grand of equity in this thing, 50 grand of equity. And I spent probably 4 hours on it.
Yep.
From getting the loan, transferring money, refinancing it is probably 4 hours all in and about 50 grand of equity.
And then that's the number to look at, is how much instant equity you run into. If you had $5,000 in there and then your return now is not infinite, do you really care if you
No,
step into 30 to 40 grand of equity?
no, no.
That's, I mean,
How do you talk to
that's the
people
number
though,
to look
Jimmy?
at.
How do you talk to people though about this? Because this is one thing I think for people who have the cash machine, right? This is easy for us because it's like so hands off. It's you plug it in, boom, boom, boom. What about for the people who don't quite have that cash machine cooking right now? Are you telling them get a better job? Are you telling them get into flips? Are you telling them start there? Like, what's your advice for somebody on the sidelines looking to get started in real estate who maybe doesn't have a big cash machine at this point?
Those are the people who should be flipping and wholesaling.
Okay.
Or quite frankly, going to people like you and me and becoming home buying specialists.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the fastest way to a cash machine, is just be a home buying specialist and crush it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So so you just got to get yourself that active income, like what Medley told you years ago.
And if you want it in real estate, like, I mean, to start your own wholesaling business, I think is just, it's a big thing to fill. I think people make more money as working for bigger home buyers than starting it on their own, like throwing up a shingle and paying for their own marketing and cold calling and all that.
Yeah. Well, isn't that interesting? Like we get asked that all the time. Like, how do you find your deals? And I'm like, well, if you want to spend, $50,000 a month in marketing, you can get there too. What is that about? Where are you guys at as far as marketing spend in a month to get for acquisitions?
In the Lou, we're 80 grand a month, and in Little Rock, we're 70.
So 150 a month in marketing going out.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we got to step our game up apparently with our spend. Jeez, we're we're way behind you. Dang. All right.
We just did a bunch of numbers. We're improving stuff with TV, but we gotta do more TV.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. Every market's so different too. And the time of the year is different. Everything's different. You got to be constantly looking at those numbers, right? Well, and that's part of probably what you're talking about, running a wholesale business it's more than just, I got to go out and negotiate a good deal. If you really want to run a legitimate business, there's a lot more that goes into it, a lot of KPIs to be watching, a lot of marketing to be watching, return on ad spend, all these other things that go into play on this stuff. If you want to be serious, if you want to pick off a few deals a year, you can get away with sending some letters and probably picking up a few deals throughout the year.
I'd rather buy from another wholesaler.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I got started.
Yeah. I just had a guy on not too long ago, and he's doing some of his own marketing, but when he got started, he came to our market and he called me as one of the guys in the market to pick a brain with. And he wanted to start wholesaling. I said, why do you want to start wholesaling? Well, I want to be able to get my own deals. I was like, why don't you just buy rentals from us? Like,
well, then, so what I have those people do is I have an Excel sheet where I show all the time required to find one deal, and then I plug their hourly rate in, and it's always more than the assignment fee.
Wow. Give me some examples of that. What have you seen with some examples of some people?
As far as how much time it takes to find one deal?
Yeah.
So I would say if you're going to so let's say you want to find a deal by cold calling. Cold calling is 100 to 1, right? So how long is it going to take you to either manage a cold caller or cold call yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing. Then do the evaluation, then interview the contractor. To me, one house is a 20-hour experience.
Yeah.
At a minimum, 20 to 30.
That's actually pretty darn good if you can get that. You're saying under contract 30 hours?
No, I was saying rehab. No, yeah, you're right. Under contract 30 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say that's actually probably pretty good for cold call. I would have thought it would be longer than that to try to get a deal.
Let's do the math on that. Let's take it takes you 30 hours to find one deal, and you make $200 an hour, which would constitute a cash machine. Yeah, that's $6,000.
Yeah. To get one deal from cold call.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I've never heard anybody actually breaking it down that way, but I like the way that you're thinking of that stuff. That's pretty good. What are you seeing? Yep. What are your buyers doing nowadays for financing these BRRRR deals? Are they people who aren't just cash heavy? What are they doing to buy and refinance in your guys' market?
Hard money or private money.
Okay.
After they do a few deals, they go to their friends and family and find private money.
Okay. Do you guys have community banks there that get pretty creative, or is it pretty scarce?
Pretty scarce. I mean, the initial purchase thing, pretty scarce.
Okay. Yeah.
But then, yeah, I'll also show people how to raise private money. It's the easiest thing to do ever.
Let's talk about that because I love this conversation. I had Jay Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, had Jay on. Love Jay. He is a energy machine over there. But he gave some good nuggets that some people implemented actually from listening to this and raised some capital. Let me hear the Jimmy Vreeland, approach to raising private money. The pitch? How you approach? Yeah, give me the approach.
Hey, you either get or you get. I'm actually doing you a disservice when I pay you your interest because I'm buying a house at 60% of the ARV. And if I don't pay you, you can foreclose on me. And now you have a house that has 60 cents on the dollar. You have a house for 60 cents on the dollar. So, and when I do pay you, I pay you 8%. And, I help you protect your money from inflation in the safest asset class ever called real estate.
It's very similar. Yeah. You're giving them an opportunity, I think, is the mindset.
I mean, private lenders, especially people with self-directed IRAs.
Oh yeah. Yes. Did you see that executive order that was just signed? Is that going to change any of the self-directed piece of anything as far as being able to now open up some IRAs and things like that to alternative investments? Does that change anything with self-directed?
I don't think
any research on that.
Yeah, I did do some research on it. I think my theory is that I'm going to sell my portfolio to a hedge fund one day, right?
Okay.
And so I think them allowing that allows more institutional money to flood into real estate and create more prices. And then, quite frankly, doing a self-directed IRA is a pain. So I think it's going to make it less painful. So I think more cash is going to flood into real estate. So even though they know they're trying to make more affordable housing, I don't think that's going to help.
That's not going to help. No. Supply and demand. Economics 101. Yeah. Doesn't help. Does not help. So that's interesting. So the hard money, what are you guys seeing for your hard money lenders in your area as far as like what kind of rates that they're getting out, points, terms?
I think 12 and 2.
12 and 2. Okay.
And then so the hard money thing's the mindset is like, if you're going to go with this long-term wealth plan, this inflation hedge plan, you got to set up your inflation sales. So I don't care how many points you're paying. I don't care how much interest. I don't care if that eats into your forced equity. Like you got to get 20 of these assets and allow them to appreciate at 5% a year. So the faster you get the clock spinning, the better off you are. Like all these people waiting for interest rates to go down, they have the opportunity cost on the deals they've missed out on has been insane.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we call it the wealth cone. I call it the wealth cone over here. So the minute you start that clock, your appreciation goes up and the debt you owe starts going down, and you just create this bigger and bigger spread of wealth over time.
So my buyer's like, well, how do I know you're sending me a good deal? I'm like, dude, I'm sending you the same deal over and over again. Yeah. Like we have a certain buying criteria and it's just the same thing over to get the clock started.
Yeah. You got to get in the game. For sure.
Yeah. And then you're doing it passively. So you're not going to get the deals Jimmy and Corey get.
Right. Yeah. There's a price for that, but you're building crazy wealth. Like I look at some of the guys that work for us or have worked for us in the past, and they got, we're obviously always doing the same thing. We're pushing them. We don't have a 401k. I don't believe in a 401k. I think it's a waste of your money. I think you should just buy real estate. Right. And so I always laugh when they're interviewing with us and they're like, well, what kind of benefits do you offer? And I just kind of laugh and I'm like, well, you can learn how to get wealthy, or I can get you a 401k. What do you want?
Yeah.
And then we look though over time, the people that took action that work for us, I mean, they're multimillionaires now on their personal financial statements because they bought real estate and they started that clock and they started working the clock. Right.
I mean, I wish it was harder.
What do you mean by that? You wish it was harder?
I wish it was more complicated.
Yeah.
But it's so simple. But then since it's so simple, no one trusts it.
Right. That's true. Or what I see, kind of the guru thing here, Jimmy, I want to go back to that guru thing you talked about. Sometimes I see where I think expectations are improperly set out there as far as, you hear everybody's massive deals. Everybody likes to talk about the smoking deals they got, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the base hits that are building them and making them wealthy, right? And I think that's what you and I are both passionate about, right? Like I think we share that same sentiment of just keep taking base hit after base hit after base hit and just keep building that wealth. Especially like you said, if you got a cash machine, start the clock as quickly as you can and get as many as you can, right?
Yeah. Cash machines create home runs.
Mm-hmm.
passive income machines create singles.
Yep. Yep. But what do you see when you talk to some of the people? Are you seeing the same thing where their expectation is they have to have like all their, like you said, you got a guy who's $3,000 in, all their money's got to be pulled out. Plus they need a check at closing. Like, what are your buyers telling you? What are you seeing from them when they're looking at some of the deals as far as what their expectations are for either equity percentages or return on cash, or what are their criteria that you're seeing when you're talking to some of these folks?
The short answer?
Yeah.
I tell them they can have whatever buying criteria they want as long as it's the one I tell them they should have.
I love it.
So a reasonable buying criteria, because do you know how many people I see not get in the game because they have unrealistic buying criteria?
This is where I want you to go. Yep.
It's, hey, here's what you can expect. You can expect to be all into your BRRRR 85%. That's very reasonable. You can also count on 5 to 10% in change orders, and you could expect to be cash flow positive year one.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day when we were selling the whole turnkey thing where they can expect cash flow, it was people were miserable. I was miserable, yada, yada, yada. And then you're not going to take a dollar out of this portfolio for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
All your traditional cash flow is going to go to what I call resident reinvestment, which is when the tenant moves out, you're going to take all that cash and you're going to put it back into the house so it continues to get a top resident and it continues to appreciate. Like everybody expects real estate to appreciate, right? Yep. But they don't expect to have to reinvest at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's insane.
Yeah.
And so it's not your money you're reinvesting, it's your residents' money. And so I think setting those low expectations very, very fast. And I know I might have sounded like a jerk that they're my expectations, but this is the buying criteria I've seen that can create a ton of wealth in a short time and keep people sane.
Right. Yeah.
In a short time, I mean 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to ask you that. What is a short time to you? But you answered that question, 10 years. Because I think that's the other expectation. I think that I had too, is like, I'm like, oh, I get 100 doors, 3 years. Wow. I'm amazing. Look at me. I'm going to be so wealthy and so rich. And then I'm like, well, no, I'm not. And then I refinanced a couple of my bigger deals and I was like, oh
wait, I am rich.
This is where you get your cash flow from. I got it now. Right.
So, yeah. We call that equity milling.
Okay.
So here's the base plan that I think every American should do. 2 houses a year for 10 years. And then at the year 10, they either sell the house or they take a line of credit off the house.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do that for the next 10 years. And so if you buy a $150,000 house right now, you could expect it to be worth $220,000 10 years from now. So you bought 2 a year. Basically, you could be taking $150K a year in equity milling, tax-free lines of credit. And then people are like, well, I'm back in more debt. I'm like, yeah, yes and no. Then you hold on to the house for another 10 years, and the tenant continues to pay off the new note, and you recharge the equity, and then take another line of credit at year 20.
You're saying lines of credit. Do you mean like a loan, a home equity loan, or are you saying just a line of credit like a credit card?
No, a HELOC.
A HELOC, so like a line of credit. So like they're not using it if they don't use it.
Yeah.
Okay. What would keep them from just refinancing the property at that point at 10 years and pulling that cash out that way?
You could, but then you're going to pay. What I like about HELOCs is you're only paying interest if you're using the cash.
Yeah.
Either way, or sell 10 of them, whatever.
Yeah.
But dude, that's
I just
so
did a whole. Go ahead.
So now that I'm hitting like year 10 in this, I'm taking these lines of credit and getting like $700,000. I'm like, oh yeah, I really don't care about $200 a door.
Yeah. What are you doing with the $700K that you're pulling on the lines of credit?
Using that to flip.
Yeah. Yeah. You can also arbitrage too. So I started to do this a little bit. I've got a investment. I put some money. I took a HELOC, $500K, put it into a guy I know really well, trust, right? So you got to have that trust and relationship and stuff like that. But I'm getting charged 6.5% on the line of credit, and I'm making 10%. So it's not crazy money, but it's it's all passive, and it's just from equity from my properties that have appreciated and depreciated. It's like free money that I didn't have to do anything for.
It's magical. And now you're probably getting your $200 a door from that arbitrage.
When I do that, I don't have any windows to fix or tenants or toilets or any of that stuff, right? It's just, it really does become passive at that point. But that's the power, is once you get the time ticking and you let the time tick, you have more options, right? So like you and I are having this discussion. Do you refinance? Do you pull a line of credit? That's a great problem to have, is to figure out what are you going to do with all this equity now.
Yeah, right? But it doesn't happen unless you start the clock.
You got to start it, man. You got to start it. I love it. Well, Jimmy, if somebody wanted to get started with you down in your neck of the woods and they wanted to get some of the BRRRR Key programs going with what you guys are doing, because I love it. You're super passive, super hands off. They can just get in. They have equity. They're going to get some cash flow positive stuff. Somebody wanted to get involved with you guys. What's the best way for them to get in touch with you guys in your area?
Just DM me on Instagram, Jimmy Vreeland, V as in Victor, REELAND, or go to jimmyvreeland.com.
Cool. Awesome, man. And if you guys are listening, you want to get started in Wisconsin and you want to do some of that stuff I said earlier, go to wisconsindiscountproperties.com. You can get on the buyers list. We're here to help walk you through whatever you need, get you connected to lenders. We've got a whole bunch of them that we can connect you up with that'll help you finance these things and have you start the clock like Jimmy and I have been talking about this whole episode. Jimmy, any final thoughts for the audience out here as we're having this conversation?
It is your American responsibility and duty to get 20, 30-year government-backed conventional loans and build your wealth.
Wow, love it. I love it.
Now, if you get the house from me or Corey, don't care.
That's
right. You got to get those houses and loans.
You can do it for both of us.
Diversify. Get 10 for both of us.
Diversify. Let's go. I love it, man. All right, Jimmy. Well, man, I appreciate you being on. We always ask one final question, and I don't know if you have an answer to this, but this is always a little fun one we do for people who are looking to get started in Wisconsin. Have you ever been to Wisconsin?
No, but I want to go to a Green Bay Chiefs game.
Well, dude, let's set it up. Let's get it going.
Are they playing this year?
Not this year, but I think next year we'll be back on the docket. Maybe next year or the year after. But when they do, we'll get a big Chief. I know we got a big Chiefs group in CG, so we'll get the Chiefs crew up. Or if they're down by you guys, I would love to go to a game at Arrowhead. So
nice. I've never been to the Tundra at Lambeau.
I've never been to Arrowhead, so we got to make it happen, dude.
Faux show.
Let's go. Awesome, Jimmy. Well, appreciate you guys being on. If you guys got some value out of this show, please share it. And again, that, as I say on every episode, not only helps us grow the audience, but it helps you guys grow your reputation as a real estate investor or a potential real estate investor to help you bring in private money, deals, all the other things that come along with that. So we will see you guys on the next episode.